What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi here with my guys, Jake Rohde and Eric Sheetshaber. We are going to be talking through today's NFL 13-game slate. It's a really good one. There's a lot of great spend-ups that are going to probably force in some, I don't even want to say questionable value, but I guess all value is technically, almost always questionable. But it's it's really hard to decipher between these top-end receivers, and that's a big part of where I think the slate's going to be won. As I mentioned to Sheets when we did our preview, that I think this is going to be the highest scoring slate of the season so far. And Sheets, I'll go to Rohde first, and then we'll go to Sheets. Rohde, any sort of overall thoughts and stuff, and then we'll go to Sheets and get his take.
Yeah, it's a tough slate. I'm getting a lot of different things. I'm having a hard time building my hand build, so I'm hoping to see what you guys get for some of your big binds. I know you guys are going pretty heavy on State Kings Day, it seems. Got a lot of stuff going on there, so yep. Hoping you guys have it. Talk about Lamar a little bit at his cheap price tag. Is he going to be the guy today? We like that Rams-Lions game. So there's a lot to like today, a lot of different places to go. So, I'm ready to get into it.
Sounds good. I totally agree. Sheets, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, what I wanted to do with this this segment, I mean, I made my builds, and now what I'm probably going to do is do some tweaking along just during this next half an hour and an hour based on what you guys think, and just kind of just bandying about some things. I mean, I was thinking about some of the tight ends. Maybe I want to get a little more or less of, talk about getting a little more or less of the defenses. And again, it's a big slate, so I don't want to get too much crap. I mean, to be perfectly honest, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I want to make sure that I don't end up. So I'm running this lineup right here. I'm seeing like a Taysom Hill lineup. Why do I need that? Yeah. Maybe I do. I don't see. We'll see though. But yeah, I'm ready to just kind of get into it.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Why don't you start us off, Sheets, with quarterback? What are you getting to? What do you like here? I'm still I'm having a little trouble sometimes when we do the shows running my sims at the same time, so I'm a little behind on. But I've got a feel for what I want anyway. So what are you getting to at quarterback? And I guess that sort of leads into some of the stacks you're getting. Probably.
Yeah. So again, I did boost up somebody that I talked about in many different times this week. I'm just not going to get off of this idea here. So. My highest known quarterback is going to be Bryce Young today.
Wow.
I forced him in, not in the big buy-ins, but in the Millie Maker. I just really, really like that game environment. I mean, we talk about how in December you have a big gap between dome games and non-dome games for openers. And I've been targeting the Saints business like all season long, and I don't see any reason to stop. So Bryce Young is my top quarterback. And then I kind of like the quarterback exposures I have are guys that I kind of wanted to play all week that makes sense to me that I'm kind of getting. And the next one is Joe Burrow. He's my next best at like 12%. And then I have CJ Stroud as my next one. And we'll talk about that. But he fits like a lot of different ideas. Number one, if you do want to like play him with marks and like some receivers, that's not the worst idea in the world. Or you want to be a little contrarian and play Stroud with the receivers with no marks. That might even be better. We'll get to that when we get running back, I suppose. And then I'm getting 10% of the Tyler Shook from that same game. And then, Trevor Lawrence, like 7%. I'm getting 7% Lamar, 7% Purdy, 6% Stafford. So those are the top owned guys I have.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. The young one is the only one I didn't really. I mean, it's not on my radar. It's just there's just so many other plays that I really like today. So I don't have that one as much. But how about you, Rohde?
Yeah, for me, I'm getting mostly Stafford. I think like I'm using SaberSim a little bit more. Their projection more. I know Sheets is a little bit lower on Stafford projection. Mm-hmm. So they're popping a little bit more. I might kind of adjust that, go with Goldies because or Sheets and change that because I don't like that as much Stafford, but I'm getting him the most. CJ Stroud right there, Joe Burrow right there. I'm getting a lot of those guys. I'm getting a lot of Mariota too, a little bit more in the Sims here. So I don't mind that game a little bit, but like I'm off of it. I'm getting some more Dart too. I'm in the Sims like 4%. I want to get some more Lamar Jackson. I think I'm only getting about 3% of him. I was waiting to see what Bobby says about Lamar Jackson, see if he's on that game a little bit more. I feel like he's got to come alive a little bit more, and that Bengals is good. And then tight ends is going to be really good against that Bengals secondary. So I like that. Not getting much Josh Allen. Surprised a little bit in that Drake May, not as much either. So basically CJ Stroud, Purdy, Burrow, and Stafford are kind of my top 4 guys today with a lot of Stafford. So I'm hoping to adjust a little bit, but I'll let Bobby go see where he's end up on his quarterbacks.
Yeah, so a lot of it has to do I like the quarterbacks in the afternoon games. I like my highest owned right now is Lamar, but I'm very, very happy to have swappability to a lot of different things in the afternoon because I think there's a lot. I mean, we have 5 games we haven't had, and we have some monster total or some monster individual team totals and combined team totals in the afternoon. So, the Rams and Detroit being the biggest one, but also San Francisco, stacks I think are going to make sense. So I'll probably not end up with as much Stafford as I have right now. But just in a vacuum, I really do like Stafford. I generally prefer to use running quarterbacks. Lamar is my second highest owned quarterback. And I pointed out, he didn't play well last week at all. He hasn't played well in the season, basically, since the beginning. At the very beginning, he did. And then he's looked like a different person to me. But even with him not playing well last week, I mean, that likely touchdown stands. I mean, he'd be right at round 30. And then you'd have the 2-point conversion they'd go for after. So maybe he ends up even higher. So he still could have won all the slates last week, even not playing that well. And in Cincinnati today, I do like him, but I also have to say, we'll talk about it at running back. I really like Derrick Henry. Stroud is the one that I am not I didn't want to force in any of it. I didn't, I'll take some of it. I just feel like he doesn't win slates all that often. It's not like I don't have it. I think he's a good real life quarterback. It's obviously a good matchup against Arizona. I think it's going to be a little more competitive maybe than people think that game. But I do think Stroud makes some sense just, again, in a vacuum. I will try to not have it in my high buy-ins because he's going to be very popular. I have some Mariota, but the weather's not great in that game, but they have a heated field and it's not terrible. Jackson.
I will give you boots on the ground here, by the way. It has been snowing for 10 hours.
Yeah. but they have a nice heated field and
it's 8 inches of snow on the ground, but it's supposed to stop pretty soon, and they clean that shit up pretty quick over there.
Yeah, and last week we had the snow game that scored 700 million points between the Bills and Cincinnati. So I'm more worried about the wind sometimes, but this is not that bad. I mean, 15 to 25 gusts is not great, but it's not as bad. I'm not treating the weather with much today, to be honest, even though there are some cold games. I'd rather play a dome game. But
what do you think of that Rams game? You think the Rams are going to win that game?
Oh, yeah. I think there's a chance the Rams could win that game by 30. Okay. I also think there's a chance that they could lose. I still think, Detroit is a talented team and they're in a must-win situation. These teams always seem to play close, but the Rams are significantly better this year. And the thing that worries me about that game is that I do have interest in the Detroit pieces, but every time I go back to it, I tell everybody this. We joke and say the Rams give up points, but they don't. The Rams are the best scoring defense in the NFL. They give up the fewest points in the NFL of any team. Now Detroit can kind of score on anyone, but and given the nature of the way the Rams play, I think you're going to see them firing. And so, definitely want to have you overexposed. I'm well over the field on guys like Joe Burrow. There's no ownership on Josh Allen, which I just find fascinating, and I love Josh Allen. And I also like Drake May, but it's hard because I like a lot of plays today. And then the cheap one is Tyler Shuck that I think is interesting that afternoon game. I personally do not have. I'm pretty spread out at quarterback, but yeah, I mean late swap is going to determine a lot of it because I have I've got some of the what's it called? Some of the Purdy, a ton of the Stafford, a good amount of the Shuck. A little bit of Goff and a good amount of Darnold even because I think there could be a hammer stack argument over there. All right. We'll move over.
Wait, I got a question. What about FanDuel? You guys see any big differences for you guys on FanDuel?
Oh, yeah, I wrote it in
for QBs at least.
I'm getting more Stroud over there because it allows you to spend up for more of the bigger pieces and he's much cheaper over there percentage wise. But that's the one, and I don't love it. I'd rather have a running quarterback over there, but I'm still going to take the Stroud a little bit over there.
Let me take a look at my FanDuel before you go on to running back here. See if to answer his questions, any big differences. Yeah, I'm getting a lot more Stafford over on FanDuel than on DraftKings, and I think I know why. Because on FanDuel, I did not force in Bryce Young. So I guess that's what I would end up getting on DraftKings if I did not force in Bryce Young.
Well, you're going to have the opportunity because you got Stafford lineup, so you could always switch over.
I
mean,
could.
Always,
the other thing is that on FanDuel, I'm getting more of Jackson Dart than on DraftKings, just because I don't know why, but because I screwed around with some stuff on DraftKings more than I did on FanDuel, so the exposures are going to be a little bit different. So Stafford would be number one over there, followed by Dart, and Purdy actually would be my second one, my next one.
I like the Dart play over there because his like we talk about this a lot, skill sets that help for FanDuel versus DraftKings. Yeah. Without the 300-yard bonus things and all that, just having the rushing upside is so nice to have for Dart there. So I like that over there. Sheets, how about running back, and then we'll go to Rohde after you.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean the two best plays on the board are Woody Marks and I guess Christian McCaffrey. And I imagine that that's what a lot of people are going to do, and I am really, I want to say no different. I guess I might be with the field actually kind of under now that I'm looking at it. Like I'm getting 36% Woody Marks and then 25% McCaffrey. So that's either, I guess, with or just slightly below, maybe, depending on where Woody Marks really comes in, and where McCaffrey really comes in. So let me just go through my exposure, then guys that I really want to get. So my next highest owned guy after these is gonna be Travis Etienne at 24%, and then I have somebody I'm a little worried about for all the reasons we discussed over the last month or so, and that's Kenneth Walker. I'm still I have what you said ringing in my ear, but it's not just because you said it. Like if you put a gun to my head and say, I'll kill your family if you tell me who the number one running back is, I would say Kenneth Walker, but I would still be looking over my shoulder. You know what I mean? Right. So I'm just not 100% sure. And then other running backs I'm getting on DraftKings. Now this is just because again I am I'm addicted to that Saints game. I'm actually not getting who you think. So I'm actually playing like 15% of Devin Neal from New Orleans, and that obviously comes with all kinds of risk. It comes with risk of number one, Taysom Hill scoring touchdown. Number two, as you saw last week, Tyler Shuck himself scoring touchdowns. So that's a little dangerous, I have to say. But any running back that's like around the same price as Woody Marks, I think is okay to play. Just for pivot purposes, and that's why Kenneth Walker's fine. And that's why the guy I want to play more of. And this is one I'll probably boost up a little bit is Tyrone Tracy. I talked about him earlier in the week. I think it's a very nice play, given the context of the slate with the different prices and stuff like that. So I do have I'm going to probably bump that up. And the guys that I would like to play more of, but I just kind of running out of teams. I think I want to play more Derrick Henry, and I sort of want to play more Saquon Barkley. And I sort of want to play more Jamar Gibbs, but you just can't play everybody, So these are the guys that, again, I'm just kind of identifying as the guys that are probably going to end up beating me. And that's kind of where I am with running back.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I get it. It's interesting because there's a lot of guys to play, and it feels. I mean, I'll let Rohde go next, and I'm getting to it too. But I don't know that the right thing on these slates is to play Woody Marks. Now, however, you do need, if like I mentioned, the stud wide receiver spend ups, you're going to need value. So that's why it's going to be even more. But Devin Neal, as you mentioned, is an interesting pivot. I just don't feel great about this. I feel nervous a little bit about the Woody Marks thing, to be honest with you. I've been playing him at low ownership like all year long. And now we know we have no Chubb, but man, it's tough when you get a running back who's 40% owned. Anyway, go ahead, Rohde. Who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously the best guy. Like I agree with Sheets, a lot of nice takes in him. I am getting the Walker too as well. I've been getting that, and then Charbonnet always stealing the touchdowns when I need Walker. Another guy you didn't mention though that I'm not getting a lot of in the Saberson, but I might bump him up is Ashan Gente. So I like him a little bit. I'm only getting about 3% of him. He's another salary reliever though. He's only 5,800. I mean, the game script's not very good for him, but they're giving him work. They're giving him pass work, so I don't mind him at that price. Maybe he gets in the end zone, so like, yeah, they might do something. It's a slower paced game, so it could stay run heavy, game with both running backs, a little bit, maybe getting in the box. So I like that. Gibbs I like a lot. Junkins I like as well at 6,300. That's actually a little faster paced game. You wouldn't think that, but the way both teams are playing they're faster. But it is a cold weather game. But I feel like it's actually really cold. I think it's like 10 degrees or less. So I feel like Judkins should get a lot of work in that game. No Sampson or that other guy too. They had like two guys out. So like Judkins is a good play today. I might bump him up a little bit. Those are just little hot takes I got or a little early this week. So those are two big things I like. And then I'm getting a lot of Henry and ETN to round it off at the top side. So
yeah, I like the Judkins idea. I think that's an interesting pivot off of Mark's, a little higher price, but I think that it's interesting against the Bears defense that we've seen at times not be able to stop the run, although they've been much better defensively over the last few weeks. Rohde can speak to that one last week when he had a beautiful lineup going, and Josh Jacobs was fine, but you could have used a big Jacobs game there.
I know, I had a nice one going.
Yeah, it was a good one for a while. Anyway, I still have Marks as my highest owned running back. Now, I probably end up just slightly below the field. I did cap my exposure on him because I literally was getting like 1,000,000%, and I just don't think that's the right way to play this slate. I really don't. I think that one interesting way of building would be to spend up on running backs not named McCaffrey, because that's going to be a very contrarian style build. So Jahmyr Gibbs, somewhat Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. Those guys are going to have some ownership, but I think most people are, if they're going up, they're going McCaffrey. If they're going down, they're going Marks, Devin Neal, to some extent. Look, I really like Jahmyr Gibbs. I really like Saquon Barkley. I really like Derrick Henry, and I am fine with Christian McCaffrey. It's worth noting he's a little banged up in a game that could get out of hand, and Brian Robinson they have no problem giving the ball to. It's not the same situation now. I mean, not near the goal or whatever, because McCaffrey is not the between the tackles guys. He still probably gets to his like median just on volume alone, but it doesn't feel great to me. So I would rather get more of the Henry, Barkley, Gibbs, even though I worry about that Rams defense being pretty good. And then I like the Judkins idea as another guy, but mostly it's otherwise than that, the guys you said. I do not like, again, I don't, and it worked last week with ATN. I am not very high on this play, personally. I'll have a little bit of it, but something about the ATN thing just feels fishy to me. And I can never tell even who's like, I mean, half the season we thought he wasn't even like the starting running back exactly. Like he'd start the game, but every time it was in goal or whatever, we'd see Tootin in there. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't have as strong a field. Like everything on paper makes sense, but to play him as chalk doesn't feel ideal to me. And I'm just gonna take a quick look and see if I'm not missing. Yeah, because we still have Tootin, and then they let Allen get a carry in there here and there. So I don't know. That's the one I would like to be a little at least no more than half the field on ATN for me. All right, wide receiver loaded, completely loaded. I'll let you start it off, Rohde, because there are so many good plays here at the very top, and a lot of question marks, in my opinion, in between.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that we like. So, like Nakua, obviously, is like a huge priority in that Ram stack. He looks really good, and the Lions secondary is really banged up, so that would be a guy you want to go to. Then you got St. Brown right there. Figure the Lions are going to be down, so they're going to be chalking. But I do like JMO. I'm not getting a lot in the Sims a little bit. I might bump those guys up a little bit in that game, but I mean, you can play that game. Another guy's JSN will probably be a little bit lower owned today. Jamar Chase, another one in a good. Baltimore's not been very good either. Nico Collins, the pair up with Stroud. We talked about that. He's really cheap at 6'7". I like that. I don't think I'm going to be on the Michael Wilson play today at 6'6", priced up. Houston defense probably the best. I'm going to stay away from that. JMO at 6'1", I like. If you need a value, we don't really have that much value receivers today. A lot of these spend ups I like. I think you can use that Mitch Tinsley with no Higgins today, or Losavas in the Bengals game. That could be a little bit more of a shootout if you're stacking Burrow. I like those guys up a little bit. If you like the Josh Allen stack, Shakir's been getting a lot of work as well. He's only 5'3". Just some of the value guys you can target here. Yeah, Jaden Higgins maybe if you want to get off Nico at 4'2". He's not bad. Packers got all their guys back this week. Jaden Reed's starting to look a little bit better. Watson, the big play guy, but there's like 3 or 4 guys there, so it's not a really good spot to use their value guys. So you're going to want to spend up, guys. That's why we like the cheap running backs today. You can even play Devontae Adams a lot in that Rams game. I like him a lot. I'm getting a lot of him. So I'll let you guys go get some other guys in there.
Yeah.
Those are my main guys.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Saberson has Adams projected significantly higher, and I don't necessarily even totally disagree with it, but he's a little banged up as well, just throwing that out there. But again, you're going to have swappability in the afternoon. Sheets, what are you getting to at wide receiver?
Yeah, so Puka and Chase, I mean, to me, are the best plays. I mean, they're getting a bunch of that. One of them has, a perfect game environment, that being, the Bengals game. And the other one has a perfect game environment and perfect weather, which is and the best receiver in football. I think that's pretty safe to say in Puka Nacua.
I think it's close. Yeah, I think JSN has got an argument, but yeah,
he's got an argument. But I just see Puka do too many things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are the 2 best plays. But again, I'm just going to come out with it, and I do have JSN 20%. But I just want to recount the history of these takes. Okay, so last week I demanded everybody play Geno Smith and like all the Raiders, and they were like literally the lowest scoring team on the slate. I think the week before I demanded everybody play Bryce Young and like all the Tennessee guys, and he was the lowest scoring slate. So my track record is really, really bad. Okay, but I really, really think that everybody should play McMillan and Olave. Okay, the 2 of them together in that game. And I'm going to have, as much of that as I can handle. So that's again, late games, flexibility, good weather, top targets. They correlate well together. So I like both of those guys. Other guys that I'm getting more than, and reasonable market weights on are, Nico Collins, like everybody else, I'm going to have 15% of that. Mitch Tinsley, 15% of that. And then nobody else really over 10% to speak of.
Yeah, I like those. I'm a little bit interested in what you said about both those guys in the New Orleans. The Tet and Olave, I think are very interesting. I too am getting Puka and Jamar Chase as my highest. Now I just as well may end up with. JSN is 8,600 and Nacua is 8,700. If I end up with 50% Nacua and 10% JSN, it could very likely end up being 30% of each of them by the time I late swap. I really, really going to see how that looks. But Chase and Nacua for now. I like Nico Collins quite a bit. I like Wan'Dale Robinson, Zay Flowers. This is sort of my order. I'm getting to probably a little bit too much Mitch Tinsley, but I guess it's with the field, but it just feels like a little. I think I'd rather play Yoshivas. I don't know what's going on because I didn't put a projection next to him. I don't even think his projection is that high. I think this DeAndre Hopkins thing is weird. I think Saberson's got him a little bit high, and we're counting on Bateman being out. I'll change the projections once we get official word on that. But I just feel a little fishy about the Hopkins.
I'm getting like 2% Hopkins. I'm not getting any of him.
I didn't do anything, but because I'm demanding some of these spend ups, I think they're forcing in the Hopkins.
I'm only got 3%. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 15 right now, and I don't like that at all. So I'm gonna have to lower that for sure. JSN, Amon-Ra, I think are both great plays. I have them double digits. I have Jameson Williams, Devontae Adams, just right around 10%. And the other guy they're forcing in for me is Cooper Kupp. I don't know what to tell you. And I will force in the Michael Wilson. I can't watch the same thing happen every
I know.
and then not be over the field on a guy who's completely unknown because of matchup. And by the way, what's going to happen in that matchup? It doesn't matter because they're going to throw it to him anyway. You know what I mean? At least as long as I'm getting the looks, I'll feel good about it. And I think that's going to happen no matter what.
Well, you know what? As long as you're going to say that, I do want to bring up something that I spoke about earlier on running back. And again, it's just kind of an ugly play, but we'll get to this, I guess, when we talk about tight end or whatever. But this Seattle Colts game, okay, like if you have Phillip Rivers, who's 40 whatever years old coming into this game, and he's basically the side, the circus show of the week. You know what I mean? Like everybody's just so curious to see what happens with him, whatever.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, or not the end of the day, actually, at the beginning of the day, they're going to give the ball to freaking Jonathan Taylor. Okay? Yeah. And they're going to see. Like, listen, Seattle's defense is great, whatever. But before they say, okay, Phillip Rivers, come in off the freaking couch and start slinging the ball over the place, they're going to try to run Jonathan Taylor. They just are. And they're going to try to get him as many touches before it's like 3rd and 11. You know what I mean? So he's one of the best running backs in football, and he's going to be very, very low owned. And he's right there along the price tag of McCaffrey. And I think we should probably play some of that.
I don't disagree. I forced in a few percentages, but not nothing crazy.
If you play 7%, you're probably ahead of the field.
Yeah, I think so. I actually think that he won't be close. I think he'll be like 2%. And yeah, he could put up the highest number. That's completely viable. It's just the reason I didn't force in more is just because it's hard to prioritize these spend ups.
Oh, sure.
It's really hard to take a guy in the worst matchup in football.
Yeah.
But it is Jonathan Taylor, and we've seen him in these spots score 3 touchdowns and have 200 yards rushing. So I'm no problem with taking some shit stabs there. I have a different take, which we'll get to at this next position, which I guess I'll start off.
Yeah, I know. I got you.
And I mentioned it on the previous, I was watching the Roto Grinder show to the other Bobby suggested it and people didn't really say much. I think this is like an incredible tournament play at 0% ownership. Give me Tyler Warren. I love this play. He's even cheaper percentage-wise on FanDuel. Look, he's projected to be 0.2% owned on DraftKings right now. He'll probably end up 1% owned. Maybe not even. I think this is an awesome play. He's a safety blanket for Rivers. They're going to run him on he gets the goal line type carries, whatever, or the tush push is he's the guy. I think he could end up being the highest scoring tight end today. And I don't think anyone is doing it at all. And I'm very, very interested. He's also in sort of like a tier no one really wants to play at tight end. So I just can't see how he doesn't do it. And I will mention Seattle, greatest defense in the NFL, along with maybe Houston. And the Rams deserve some conversation for where they're at, how tough their schedule's been. But the one position that you can get to them, they are second worst in the NFL against the tight end. And give me the Jalen Warren. Let's see what happens with my late swaps. But I am
Bobby does not mean Jalen Warren. He means Tyler.
I'm sorry. I mean Tyler Warren. Yeah. Do not give me Jalen Warren because he's not playing till tomorrow.
And you wouldn't be playing him anyway.
And I would not be playing him anyway, no matter what. I've been saying that all season. So yeah. Anyway, but I'm getting more and more excited about my Tyler Warren call. The other ones I'm going right back to it. Isaiah Likely, even with the non-catch in the end zone. This guy just is putting up big numbers and his price isn't going up. Not big numbers, but like decent numbers. He's putting up double digits every week. I think he's got big upside. I like him a lot in this spot. You take away he'd be like 4,500 if that touchdown counted, and then the one that he dropped in front of the goal line. He didn't exactly drop it, but he fumbled it out of bounds against the Bengals on Thanksgiving. If you take away those two plays, I'm telling you, he's 4,500 right now and getting ownership. So. Those are my favorites. I know it's off the board with the Warren. Also getting to some Gesicki, AJ Barner, but we'll see where I end up on that one because I do have some double tight end lineups. George Kittle, Harold Fannin, Juwan Johnson, Colby Parkinson. That's sort of my list of main tight ends. How about you, Sheets? And then we'll go to Rohde.
Yeah. So here's my hot take. My hot take is that Tyler Warren is going to be played a little bit.
By who?
By just all the sneaky ball knowers like that.
Okay.
That's
good,
when
right?
I say he's going to be played, I don't mean like he's going to be chalk or anything. We're going to get to the chalk in a second. But I still think that he's like a tremendous play. I mean, for sure.
Okay.
So here's first of all, tight end, the guy who's going to get jammed, and it's a good play, makes a lot of sense. Is the guy from Cleveland? Okay. Fannin is going to be, I think in big buy-ins, I think it's going to be 30% owned. It's just too easy, and with the Njoku out and all this stuff, it's fine. But as I mentioned before, there's a lot of guys at tight end that around that price tag that can look good, and you could literally go through the whole freaking slate. You know what I mean? You could play Likely, you could play Andrews, okay? You could play Gesicki, you could play Brenton Strange from Jacksonville. You could play freaking Kelsey at below 5K for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? Like, not to mention Kincaid and Hunter Henry and like all of these dudes who are probably going to get about, between 9 and 14 points. You know what I mean? To play just fanning at huge ownership is in big buy-ins might not be the right idea. In the lottery, I don't know how popular it's going to be. Probably 20. I'm guessing. I don't know. But again, if you're going to go down and play those types of of prices, I think there's a lot of ways that you can play. For me, I like the Tyler Warren. I'm going to make sure to get at least 10% of that. I like that a lot. And because, as I say, literally every week, I just think there's a big difference between like the really like upscale tight ends and the like the okay $4,200 plays. You know what I mean? And so that's why. Listen, I couldn't play Trey McBride at like 8K, whatever. But guys like Trey McBride and Brock Bowers and I have to say Tyler Warren, like right in there, and are just deserved to like always have some exposure. So I'm gonna make sure to get 10% Brock Bowers, match, whatever, whoever's throwing it to him, whatever.
Be damned, yeah.
Whatever. I'm gonna make sure to have 10% of Tyler Warren, like you mentioned. And I'd love to make sure I don't get too much of the fanning. I'm looking, okay, I don't have that much of it. Perfect. I actually kind of like that idea. And that's where I am on tight end. But one other thing. So this is the thing that I kind of talked through with myself. Whenever I'm thinking of playing and I resolved this week. Whenever I'm thinking of playing a guy like Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews or like either the tight ends from Tennessee, even though totally different idea, I always get worried that why am I playing like one of two tight ends on a team? Why am I doing that when, there's going to maybe Likely or maybe one of them is going to be a little bit more than the other one, but why am I splitting my
Can I answer that one though?
And I answered it myself for it. So, and as I'm doing this the course of the week, I'm like, I'm forgetting that like the new way of playing football now is that they're just running these guys, and they're both in the game together and they're running one of them out in the freaking slot and they're running around the tight end. So it's not as if they're playing really two tight ends. You're playing just basically just look at them as like another wide receiver. And I think it's like easier to justify.
That's exactly correct. And I couldn't have said it better. That's totally right. I did want to mention, before Rohde goes real quick, we did just get the updated injured list. Debo's in. Chris Rodriguez from Washington is inactive. I wonder what that's going to do with the ownership of Jeremy McNichols. Not McNichols. Of the Krosky Merritt, because if Krosky Merritt against the Giants, who have given up some big games, I get the feeling that Krosky Merritt is going to actually end up projecting incredibly well, and he's 4,400. I want to see what happens, but this might be like a guy we play a ton of if we. I think that's probably.
So wait, Chris Rodriguez has been announced inactive?
Chris Rodriguez is inactive. I'm assuming it's the same Chris Rodriguez.
I guess, because I have him in some lineups. So, okay. So I got to.
Yeah, me too. Okay. But he's inactive. So I think that goes to Krosky Merritt. And Krosky Merritt is 4,400. So
that is very cheap.
Yeah. They do have McNichols, who they, third down back or whatever.
That's a big play, isn't it? I mean,
I think so. I think
is he going to be like
against the Giants?
Is he going to be 50% owned?
I don't think it'll be that high, but I think had it been all week and we've been hearing, I think he would have ended up somewhere in that range.
Is he going to be higher owned than Woody Marks?
I don't think so, but I don't know. It's a good question. I think Woody Marks will still be more popular because of
because there's McNichols.
Yeah, I guess, but like, I don't know, man. That's a pretty strong play.
That's a rough announcement. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's a big. That's why I wanted to mention it. The other one so here's some other ones. So Bateman is officially inactive. Quentin Johnston is inactive.
Ooh,
for them, and yeah, the Chiefs have a good defense, but all of a sudden maybe a tighter player pool for Herbert to throw to, even though it's in the cold.
But Bateman was he projected out most of the week?
He's been projected like questionable, but his numbers have SaberSim in the last couple of days has had him at 0.
That's we're gonna see what happens with this Rodriguez news.
I will point out that the Bateman inactive that those are usually Likely's biggest games as well. I know people, that there might be some DeAndre Hopkins love. I think it's going to be. I think that solidifies Likely. That's my take.
And Flowers.
Yeah. Well, Flowers, that's a great play anyway. All right, Rohde, what do you got at tight end?
Yeah, a lot of news might change a little bit here. Yeah, likely the Andrews are the top guys on my SaberSim here. A little bit of Colby Parkinson you can stack up with the Rams. I think he's cheap at 3,200, but you got Ferguson to worry about too, right? So I mean, I'm getting a
And
little
Davis Allen,
Parkinson.
yeah.
What'd you say?
And Davis Allen too. They play the
And
3 tight
Davis
end.
Allen.
Yeah.
Parkinson seems to sneak one in though for a touchdown,
Mhm.
maybe at 3,200 could be good. Remember, the Lions do suck against tight ends. I've always played tight ends against the Lions, so that's always a good one to go to. I like Barner. You guys mentioned there's Fannin. Dalton Schultz, I like a little bit more. Getting a little bit more of him with my Stroud stacks. Hunter Henry's a guy you can go to against Buffalo. I like that. If you want to pair Josh Allen with someone, I know that Knox was doing all the work last week, but I feel like Kincaid will ramp up a little bit this week. I like a little bit of him. Gasecki's another guy. George Kittle, a couple other guys I'm getting in there, and then Theo Johnson is another guy that's up there for me. So with the Giants stacks, so with Dart. So
I want to say, by the way, that I'm looking up the Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt like game log here.
Well, I mean, he's been a backup for the last.
I know, but it's kind of tough to click that. Isn't it? It's like,
yeah, you don't want to look at the game log.
No, you don't want to, I guess. But but there are games here where he's had double-digit carries and still hasn't done anything.
But one thing is he's actually the third running back when they're healthy because they use McNichols in the same role. So he goes from third to first. It's a big difference, and he will get the bulk of the carries. I'm curious where he's going to end up projecting.
Is it? It's not Chase Edmonds' season, right?
Chase, I don't even know how much he's. Yeah, I mean, I don't think so.
He hasn't played yet the whole season. That's what I'm saying. I have no idea.
Yeah, and Krosky Merritt did have some dud games as chalk against Chicago earlier, against Dallas earlier in the season. Both those games, I believe they were playing the comeback route on. But he also did have a monster game earlier this year against the Chargers. So I'm interested to see where his ownership ends up.
I'm interested to see all of this. I'm interested to see the projections. I'm interested to see the ownership. I'm interested to see all of this. Actually, that'll be. This will be very interesting. And
I'll just
you'll never be able to get coach speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know exactly what happened. They said in the thing saying that Chris Rodriguez is going to test out his thing like the pregame warm up. Dude, he looked outside the locker room. He see it's freaking snow and cold. He's like, I'm not dealing with this shit. You know?
That's this. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go to some defenses. Sheets will make his usual disclaimer. Go ahead, Sheets.
Yeah, but before I do that, again, I hate to play everybody, but this is a guy that I do have a decent amount of is George Kittle at tight end before we just kind of move on to out of the position. Sorry about that, everybody. But just in whatchamacallit, disclosure.
I have a ton of Kittle, but I wasn't showing up because he was in my flex. That's what was happening.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think that's going to be the case after this news. I think it's going to be a 3 running back slate more than a double tight end, which I thought it was going to be a double tight end.
Okay, so defenses, I don't like to play more than 20% of any defense. And on a slate this big, I don't want to play more than 15% of a defense. And I do actually like where I am as far as my exposures right now. Like right now, my top exposed team is actually the Giants, which is a little interesting. And because they definitely give up some stuff, but come get me, Marcus Mariota. That's the best I could say. But the next highest owned guys I have are actually like the good teams. Like I do have like 12% Texans, and then 12% Seattle. I mean, basically just Seattle cheat code. You know what I mean? Like what are they going to do? What's the worst they're going to get? 8? You know, as I keep saying. I think their range of outcomes is 8 to 25. You know, and that's what you want
every day. Yeah,
every game. You know, and listen, it hasn't hurt that they've had like dream matchups like the last seems like 5 games. We said, obviously not the Rams game, but like everything else, they're just like they have like backup quarterbacks from Minnesota. They have like 43-year-old quarterbacks from Indianapolis. You know what I mean? Like they have the perfect scenario every week to score 25. So I can't see a reason to not have them. And then I'll go right. Listen, my next highest going is going to be the Bears against Shadur Sanders. Yes, he broke the slate last week, but 2 weeks ago they were saying, "Oh my God, it's the worst quarterback performance of all time." Okay, so we'll see. And then you could always play the Jaguars defense against that Jet quarterback who they're rolling out there with that kind of he's gonna have to. They're gonna be having, what do they say? They're gonna be pinning their ears back and going after him pretty quickly in this game, I think. Also,
yep.
So those are my main teams.
Yeah. For what it's worth, before Rohde goes, I'm just going to mention that SaberSim has every defense projected higher, basically by a significant amount than anywhere else I've seen.
Really?
I don't know what's going on with it, but it's just a strange thing. And it's not for every. It's for like 25 of the, or sorry, 22 of the 26 teams playing today. Basically, they're a little higher. So I don't really know what to. I just sort of like leveled it out more and used yours in Goldie's projection combinations, because I do think it's a little crazy, and I agree with not having to, I don't know, play. I think this is a slate where you have 4 defenses that stand out so much as on the spend ups, but it's hard to get to the spend ups today. Go ahead, Rohde. What do you like at defense?
Yeah, I like the Jaguars and the Texans feel good, up there. Jets have nobody to offense. Arizona's got backups in. There's a couple good players there, but Texas defense is so good. Giants is cheap at 2,700, like Sheets mentioned. I like that. That's against Mariota. They're a good defense. Saints, I even got a little bit of 2,500. I know Sheets ain't gonna like that. Another one I even don't mind playing is I play the Raiders against Jalen Hurts. They've been really functionally bad, but I can't imagine the Eagles don't come out and do something. But a few turnovers from Hurts or something, like the Raiders could get a random pick 6 at 2,000. I like that. Those are my main defenses. I like a lot. Even the Eagles on the other side, at 3,800, if you want to spend up, that's a great defense, I think, against the Raiders. And the 49ers against Tennessee has been terrible. Those are really spend up 4,000 though, so I'd like to stay in the 2,700 to 3,300 mid range. Usually is where I like to be.
Fair enough. I do as well. I don't have that option as much today. I actually somehow in my builds, and I guess this is why I'm getting guys like DeAndre Hopkins. I really wanted I really want to get to Seattle, Philadelphia, Houston, and Jackson.
Yeah, I don't blame you, dude.
I think all those guys could easily, I mean, I'm having a hard time seeing how they don't get to double digits, which is weird to say for defense.
Yeah.
So I like all those 4, and those are my highest owned right now. The one, if you want to use a super brain thing and that nobody will play, Tennessee has not only been better defensively. You've got a team in San Francisco that will turn the ball over at times, and you've got maybe the best punt returner in football in DK, who just seems to keep running them back. So I kind of like the Tennessee defense, and I kind of like the Browns defense, and that's just a take thing. That's not like, you're not going to get that with the things when you go through everything. I have I'll go through some of my hot takes before we go to Sheets, and then Rohde will take us out of here. Tyler Warren is my hot take for being on the millionaire. It's either going to be Warren or Likely, in my opinion, and Warren obviously significantly lower owned. I also mentioned that my other hot take was this is going to be the highest scoring slate of the season. I stand by that, and I'm trying to think if I had one other crazy one. Who did I have as my wild guy? I had one more that I wanted to mention, but I forgot what it was. Darn it. I never said darn it in my life. I think it's the first time. I'll throw Zay Flowers into Zay Flowers or Likely from Baltimore, and then Warren. I think those are on the winning millionaire lineup. That's my take. Sheets, go ahead, and then we'll go to Rohde to take us out of here.
So just to quadruple a couple, re-emphasize this. I think that the Saints Carolina game is going to be on the Millie Maker winner. And here's by the way, here's one of the takes that earlier in the week that I just wanted to kind of walk back because of that game. I was really into playing Rico Dowdle from that game, but you actually made a comment that I had to reassess, and they have been using Hubbard too much for me to take that kind of stance. Yeah. So I'm not. All that does is just get me more of McMillan, I think, with Bryce Young, which is fine, and Colker and all that stuff. So I think that one, and then just because again it's kind of a Sheets executive order to always announce that this team is going to be in the Millie Maker winner, just because I've been saying it since week 7, I think. I think I'm going to say that the Cam Ward is going to make it in there.
Let's
because
go.
he's going to make it in there one day, and I want to be the person that said it. So good. So same thing. He always tries. Good game script, and Seattle's and San Francisco's defense has never really been that impressive to me, at least.
And you have the incredible cheap guys you can play them with.
And you just reminded me of that when you reminded me that DK could also run back punts. So that would be awesome if if they were in contention and I played all the stats with Emanure and DK and all that stuff, and then I was 5 points away, and then San Francisco was punting to end the game, and then DK ran it back for a touchdown. That would be legendary.
Yeah.
So once again, and this is not the hot take at all, but I think that the late slate, probably determines it. So I do. I like that a lot. I like the Saints game. I especially like him in the late slate because in the late slate, the Ram Detroit game is going to get uber jammed. And I guess the Tennessee game's in the late slate too. So we shall see.
Yeah, you're not going to know. Nobody will have any idea how they're doing until later today.
And let's just say you play all these Tennessee guys, run it back with the aforementioned McCaffrey, and there you go.
Yeah, and then as you would say, rock the house.
And then score 90 fantasy points.
Yeah. All right, Rohde, go ahead.
Wow, some hot takes from you guys there, late coming in late hammer there.
Yeah, sure, why not? That way you're never dead until the very end.
Never dead. All right, guys. As always, good luck and let's get it.
Let's get it.